Hello, welcome to the AP Lazer Live. I'm Tony. I'm here with Shannon and Alicia today. And today we're going to be going over some really cool ideas on how we can take some creative ideas and turn them into profitable products for your business. So, hey Shannon.
Hey Tony.
How you doing today?
Oh good, it's the holiday season and I'm excited. It's always my favorite time of year.
Awesome. Mine too. I love it. We just got some snow the other day, so I actually got to plow my driveway and kids are having fun with the sled. So
Yeah, we had a snow day yesterday. That was fun. Yeah, made a little snowman, but anyway. Yeah, we're going to have so much fun today, though. Alicia's here, too, and she's going to be doing some fun demos on the laser machine, as always. And we have some extra special discounts and presents.
Yep, they'll be coming along. And if you guys have any questions, there's a live chat on the YouTube. So go ahead and put your questions in there. We'll answer them live. We may answer them live on the video, or you might just see somebody respond via the chat. So go ahead and ask those questions. Don't worry about it.
More questions, the merrier.
You and your dad jokes. Love it.
Oh, good. Yeah, so what do you, have you been making anything fun for the holidays on the laser machine?
I am a little behind.
Yeah?
Yeah, so this next week, though,
Yeah.
I'm getting busy on the Christmas presents. Also, we've got the Secret Santa exchange, so I can't disclose who I have yet this year, but they're probably going to get something laser made.
Present.
Yes.
Well, I have my laser cut earrings on today. They're little peppermints.
Those are pretty cool.
Yeah, they're super cool, and they're lightweight too. They're actually kind of nice. But yeah, we've been busy in my little workshop making lots of fun things with the laser. It's
You
so
and your
much
little
fun.
elves?
Yeah, me and my little elves on the shelf. Help us all. Oh, good.
So what do we got? What are we going to start with today?
Well, I think we're going to start with the cutting board, right?
Yeah, we got a couple of cutting boards that we're going to run today. We've got, our nice little slate cutting board here, which you can find in our web store, which is really, really awesome. They are super, super good for engraving photos on. It's pretty much the best thing you can engrave a photo on, I would say. You get really good quality on the slate. We also have some wood cutting boards that we're going to run some stuff on. We're going to do a full wrap on a tumbler, which I'm really excited for. It took me a very long time to figure out how to do those wraps, so I'm really excited that I finally know how to do it, and I can kind of share that with everybody. And then we also have some fun ornaments that we're going to go over, different ways to do those. I know we're going to have a guest star on later to show us how she does different ornaments in a really unique way that I haven't seen before. So it's very exciting stuff. But, I guess we can just jump right into this first tutorial here that I'd like to show you. And again, we're going to be doing this on the slate cutting boards that we have available in our web store. I believe we're going to be running some sort of discount on these.
Yeah, there should be a discount code showing up on your screen here shortly for the cutting boards.
I
So
definitely
keep an eye out for that.
highly, highly recommend getting them. They're, like I said, slate is one of the best things you can engrave like photos and stuff on, and getting to make like a custom cutting board that people can have for the holidays or different events is just super, super exciting stuff. But yeah, as you can see on my screen here, I will say I'm going to be doing all of this photo prep in Photoshop, but we do have several different videos on our YouTube channel going over the steps in Corel as well. I'm just doing it in Photoshop today because of limited time, and things are a little bit quicker to do in Photoshop versus in Corel. So I'm just going to go over a few quick steps here on how to turn this into a super exciting, really nice, easy to engrave photo. And this is just, something I found is just a nice, cute little stock image of Santa. You can use whatever photo you'd like on here. iPhone photo, it can just be, it doesn't have to be like super great quality. I'll show you how to work the magic to turn that into a super, high quality image within here. But here's my starting out photo here, and it's all in color right now, which you could just leave it in color once you bring it into the laser software that we package with the machine's LightBurn. It will turn it into a black and white image for you. But because I want to see how the image is going to look while I'm engraving it, I'm just going to go ahead and change this. I'm going to go up to Image, Adjustments, and then over here if we go to Desaturate, that's going to take all the color away from the image so that we know what it's going to look like after it's engraved. Obviously, it's going to look a little bit different from this, I will say this is a very, very soft image. There's not a lot of nice, really crisp, clean lines in here, so we're going to have to add in a mask to really kind of crisp those lines up. While this would look really good printed out on a piece of paper or like canvas or something, if I brought this into the laser just like this, it would be very, very soft and fuzzy. You wouldn't get a lot of the detail. Things would be muddled in there just because the laser works directly within black and whites. And it doesn't get a lot of that gray in there. You know, it's just doing dots, you know, dithering dots in there. So when you have a very soft image like this, things get really fuzzy really, really quickly. But within Photoshop, and again in Corel, which we do have tutorials going through the Corel side of things, but everything that I do within Photoshop can be done within Corel as well. It's all the same. It's usually named the same thing. You just got to find out where it's hidden in Corel. But it's really just as simple. The main thing that I do, and this is like the tip I give people for starting out, just desaturate your image, and then we're going to go up to filter, sharpen, and unsharp mask. And again, it's named the exact same thing within Corel. And if you really are just starting out, you don't want to get too complicated with things, this is the step to do. You're going to go ahead and click on that. It's going to apply this crazy mask to the image. Obviously, we're going to have to fine tune it a little bit. There's all these crazy sliders over here. But what we want to focus on, just leave the threshold alone. You don't really want to play with that. You want to play with the amount and the radius. I usually leave the amount up to about 500 and just kind of play with the radius, and that's just going to either thicken or thin out those different lines within there. So right now I have it up at 24.5, which is really, really high. It works really well for some things and not other things. So we're going to go ahead and go down a little bit. And we're going to scoot on over here. And you can kind of see how that changed things there. We can also use this little zoom in over here to kind of see the difference there. You can see where it's really soft, and now it's showing those lines in there. And that's really all we're going for, is to get it to look really crisp and clean. The best tip I can give for finding like the best way to get good results out of this is kind of play with this radius slider until you get to something that looks kind of like pop art cartoony, and then just take it just a little step backwards and you'll be good to go. And again, this is going to look kind of crazy within Photoshop, but it's going to read really, really well once we bring it to the laser. So I would say this is looking pretty good. It's got those really, really nice crisp clean lines that we're looking for. You can just go ahead, hit OK, and then all you need to do is file and export, and it's as simple as that. But what I want to do to kind of bring out a little bit more detail here, I'm going to go ahead and undo what I just did there. And again, you can see just how soft that photo is now. Like, it didn't look very soft until you kind of undo and redo that. Now it just looks like way too hazy. But to bring out a little bit more of the detail and the focus onto Santa here rather than the background and the whole scene, I'm going to go up to select. And I'm going to select subject. This is something that is exclusive to Photoshop. So in Corel, you're going to have to go in and trace around the image that you'd like to have on there. But within Photoshop, it's as simple as selecting subject. It'll take it a minute to kind of find the subject in the scene, but you can see how that traced over Santa pretty perfectly. And that's exactly what I want. And obviously, you know, there might be some mistakes that you need to go up and clean up there, so I usually go to my quick select tool over here, make sure I'm on add or subtract, whatever I need. Right now I see this little hold here that I want to fill in, so I'm just going to get on my add tool here, click on there. You can see that is now filled in. I think the rest of the outline looks pretty good, so I'm going to leave it as it is. But to make it so that it there aren't any too harsh of edges in here, I'm also going to go up to the select button again, modify, and then feather. And I usually use the feather radius pretty low. I'm going to do 3 for now, and all that's going to do is soften the edges on that mask so that there's no crisp hard lines, and it kind of helps him fade into the background just a tiny bit so he's not standing out too much. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that and paste that onto a new layer, so you can see he's on his own layer right there. And what I'm going to do to soften the background a little bit is I'm going to go ahead and add one new layer here, bring it down. We're going to fill that layer in as just a black, so you can see it's just a dark background right now. And what we're going to do to that background layer on top is we're just going to bring that opacity down to about 60%. And that's just going to soften that a little bit so that Santa sticks out a little bit more. Or whoever the focus of the picture is sticks out from the background so that nobody's getting lost within those details. Now, the last step that I would like to do to kind of really crispen everything up here. So on my subject selection, so on my Santa section here, I'm going to go ahead and apply that filter. We're going to sharpen and unsharp mask him so that he is really, really sticking out from the background. So you can see who the exact subject of the image is. The background will still be there, but it'll be nice and fuzzy so that you're not too focused on everything going on. You're just focused on Santa as the subject.
I'm focused on Santa all the time.
So I think everything looks good here. I already played with the amount and the radius earlier, so everything should be good. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I hit OK. You can see how he is got that mask on, but the background is going to be nice and soft for us. And then I'm going to just go up and go to File, Export, Export As. You can also do Quick Export depending on your file size, but because I want to make this as high resolution as I possibly can, I'm going to do Export As, go ahead and hit Export, and then I can save it wherever I'd like. I'm just going to name it Santa Image, hit Enter, and it'll take a minute to load depending on how high of a resolution your image is. Once that menu closes, you're good to go. You can open up your laser software, which we're using LightBurn, and then all we need to do is go up to File, Import, find that image we just exported, so Santa image right here, give it a minute to load in, and there he is. Now, depending on how you sized your image within your photo editing program, you could be as good to just hit play and let it go. But I'm going to make sure that I have everything sized correctly, so I just have my little measuring tape on hand. I'm just going to measure the board here. So this is 7 inches by 10 inches. So what I'm going to do to make sure this image is sized right is I'm going to make a little box here, go back to my selection tool. I'm going to turn this into a tool layer so that I can make sure that it's not engraving or cutting or anything. It's just showing me the area that my cutting board will be. So I need to go up, unlock this little guy here with the width and the height so I can adjust them to the size I needed. And the width was 10 and the height was 7. So there we have our cutting board right here. This is going to be the size of the cutting board. And we're going to see, I'm going to need to resize things a little bit, or if this is just what I want in the image, I could do that. Or I could also take my image and kind of resize it to fit within the box there. You can also adjust the height and the width up in the corner where we did with that box. But I'm just going to kind of adjust him by eye here. And then once we have everything settled where we want it, we can select everything on our screen, right click, apply mask to image, and flatten image mask. And there you have your image sized to the cutting board. And this will work with whatever material you're working on, whether it's this cutting board, you know, a picture frame, whatever. You just got to make that mask tool, and then you can mask right over your image to get it to fit perfectly in there for you.
Hey, Alicia, have you tried any of the image stuff in LightBurn where you can like change the image contrast and stuff?
That's what I'm going over right now, actually.
Oh, well,
yeah.
What do you know? Jason wanted had a question about the framing.
Absolutely. So what I would do, I can go up to my preview and I can kind of see how this will look. And I will warn you, the preview tool in LightBurn is not great. It will look much better than LightBurn is telling you it's going to look. So if this looks funky, don't worry about it. It'll look much cleaner once we get it on the machine and running. But you can kind of see that would have looked pretty good without any editing within LightBurn, since we did pre-editing within our photo editing program.
Now, did it already convert it it already inverted it naturally?
That's what we're working on right now.
Oh, yeah.
So if
Sorry.
you, no, you're okay. If we right click that image and we go to our adjust image, it's going to put up all these different little sliders and crazy things in here. Now the main thing we want to focus on, let me kind of minimize this so you can see this slider in particular. This negative image slider right here, that's what we want to turn on. Because we're engraving on a dark material, we want to make sure that we are engraving the white and not the black onto our cutting board. Now, if this was on a white piece of like marble or something like that, then you could go ahead and engrave it just as a regular image, and then you could paint fill or whatever to get those dark lines in there. But because I'm working with a dark material, the engraving is going to come out white. So I'm going to turn on negative image. I can invert my display to see kind of what everything looks like here. And then we have all these kind of different crazy things here. There's a couple different image modes you can select and play with. I will say I am a huge fan of halftone. Halftone is, you can get some really crazy detail out of the halftone setting. I would not recommend it for beginners just because there's a lot that you have to tweak and play with to kind of get it to where you need it to be.
Then what would you recommend for beginners?
I would go with Jarvis.
Okay.
Yep. So starting out, Jarvis is the perfect setting. It gives you all the crisp, clean lines. You don't have to worry about micro adjustments or anything. It just comes out really nicely.
Nice.
With halftone, if you're using our 1.5 inch lens, which you can get within the lens kit that we offer, you can get really fine detail. Because you can go up to a higher DPI with halftone than you can with just Jarvis. In general, starting out, I would say stick with Jarvis until you're comfortable with that, and then you can start playing with halftones and different settings like that. But make sure your image mode is set to Jarvis. And for DPI, I would honestly leave it at 300 at the absolute max and go down even to like 150. The less DPI, honestly, the better with most materials, especially if you're working with things like slate or marble or granite.
Yep.
Because there's going to be little flecks and different things in there that is just going to make everything turn out super fuzzy if you're using that higher DPI, because the laser is essentially just going to keep scanning over top of itself in a way that just kind of blows out the image.
Yeah, they kind of overlap.
Exactly,
at that point, yeah.
exactly. So my sweet spot that I have found for slate, in particular on our 100 watt machines, especially the 4836, that's what we work with here in the studio, is 260 DPI. 300 is still, it gets pretty fuzzy once I go up to there, so I don't usually go up that high. But I found 260 works really well. And because I edited this beforehand, I don't really need to play with the contrast, the brightness, the gamma, anything like that. But I will go through kind of like what those do, because if you don't have a photo editing program or you're not comfortable with those, you can do everything within LightBurn, which is really nice.
That is nice.
So that the most important thing that I want to go over is this little nifty enhance radius, enhance amount over here on the side, because that is essentially LightBurn's version of that unsharp mask that we applied to the image. So if we go ahead and play with these sliders here, you can see if I click on this, nothing is happening to the image. And that's because these two things work together. So they both have to be turned on for anything to happen to the image. I'll zoom in so we can see a little bit better what happens here. But I'll have that radius turned up. I'll turn the amount up. And you can kind of see how that sharpens the image even more. So those lines are getting crisper and crisper the more I go up here. So if you're working just straight within LightBurn, you can do your unsharp mask just within LightBurn, which is super handy. You don't have to worry about going through Photoshop or Corel if you're not comfortable with that yet. You can do a lot within LightBurn itself.
That just taught me something new. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. It's really handy. I mean, when I was starting out with photos, I did a lot of that as well, just within LightBurn, because those programs like Photoshop and Corel are super intimidating. Like, there's a lot to get lost in. Whereas LightBurn, it's just these couple sliders here. It's a little easier to get a hang of and kind of play with.
Especially just getting started.
Like. Exactly. When you're just getting started, I would suggest just play with LightBurn. And then when you're ready to move on to those programs, go right ahead and move on to those. And again, we have plenty of videos on our YouTube channel for you to explore to give you those tips and tricks within those programs. You know, we also host different kind of fun little workshops on occasion where we go over things like that. I know we have advanced training coming up in January, which will be very, very exciting. We'll be going over some of that stuff there, which we can get into more detail later, but that's a fun thing to look forward to. But yeah, LightBurn is really an amazing tool. I hadn't used it until I started working here. I used just the basic software that came with the lasers that I used to work with, which were those boxed in, you know, one of the boxed in big lasers where you had to use their software and everything was super hyper specific that you didn't really have any freedom to experiment with anything. But with our machines and with LightBurn, you're able to do a lot that you can't do with those other machines, which I really, really enjoy because I get to play. You know, I get to find these different settings that work with different things. I get to experiment with, you know, going in and out of focus on the machine, playing with different, you know, settings like Jarvis versus LightBurn, halftone, and things like that. But as you can see, the image looks really, really nice and crisp and clean here. So make sure when you're exiting this, you hit OK. If you hit cancel or the X on the top here, none of your settings are going to get saved. So just make sure that you're comfortable with how everything looks. You go ahead and hit OK there.
But it's simple enough you can go back and readjust really quickly.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I often hit the X when I shouldn't.
Yeah. And so once you're ready to go, it's as simple as pretty much sending the machine. We do want to make sure, we'll click on this image box over here to make sure we have our settings set to the correct speed and power. This is going to vary depending on what wattage your machine is. But for our 100 watt machines, for slate and granite, I kind of usually go with a speed of 20 inches per second. I use inches per second just because I'm American and I don't know anything about metric. So 20 inches per second, and usually a max power of around 18 and a min power of 12. Now, setting a max and a min is going to offset those edges so that they're a little softer when the laser is coming back and forth, and it just kind of helps kind of give a little more depth to the image.
Interesting.
So that's why I would kind of set that off. And I'd usually go a range of like at least 5 under what your max power is, or you're not going to really see any difference.
Okay.
And you just do that for photos typically, right?
For photos and for cutting. For cutting, you want to set your max power and your min power at an offset at 5 so that it cuts a little smoother when it hits those corners as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Interesting.
Right. I forgot about that fun fact.
Yeah, so that you're not burning the edges. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the acrylic ornaments.
Okay.
But once we have our settings there, if you're using a lower wattage machine, I'd just probably bring that max power up just a tad, just a little bit. You could start with these settings and see how it looks. For testing, I mean, for pretty much any material, but especially with slate and granite, go to the dollar store and get yourself some black cardstock and just do your image on there. Same exact settings that you're going to use on the actual material, and you'll be able to see exactly what it's going to turn out
at a
as.
fraction of the price. Yeah,
It's
you get the
way,
big
way
sheets.
cheaper.
Yeah.
You can just play all day. That's where you can practice if you're doing halftone or other crazy settings. Do it on that paper before you get it onto your, especially if you're doing memorials or anything on granite.
Yeah.
That's expensive, and you don't want to waste that.
Yeah, it's just the black poster board that's
Yep.
got the white core on the inside.
Yep.
So what you're doing essentially is you're just burning off that black coating on the outside, and you expose that white underneath, and that really closely simulates what the granite and the slate do.
Exactly.
Sometimes I even use cardboard too if I'm doing wood and I just want to make
Yeah.
sure it looks good.
Oh, yeah.
I'll throw in
Yep.
some old Amazon box.
Yeah, there's a lot of cheap materials that you can test on before you burn through your actual material.
Yes.
I will say I would recommend still having just a tester of whatever material you're going to be working on, because it is obviously going to be a little bit different from the cardstock to the granite just because of those flecks and stuff that are in there. But you're going to get pretty much spot on what it's going to look like on that cardstock, which is really nice. So within our settings, again, we don't need to touch anything else. Just leave it all good, all the same. This was all done while we were in our image editor. So you can just go ahead and press OK when you're ready. And then all you need to do is send it to the machine. So I'm just going to name this Santa. It's going to take a second to load onto there. And again, depending on your image size, depending on your DPI, it'll take a little bit longer to get onto the machine. If I'm going crazy using halftone at 1000 DPI, it takes a while to load onto the machine just because that's a lot of detail to transfer over there. Another fun little nifty tool that you can pull up here, if you go to your preview button, this little TV screen right here, not only will it give you kind of an approximate image of how things are going to look, but it's going to give you a total estimate of the time that it's going to take for this to run as well. So you get that down at the bottom here. Mine says about 30 minutes. I haven't tuned it to this machine though, so I know it's going to run a little quicker than that on here. But it should give you a pretty good estimate if you get that tuned in to your machine. And if you're having issues with that, you can always call into our tech support team because they're really, really good at guiding you through all that.
Yeah,
so.
and setting your LightBurn up on a brand new machine is like super easy. It took me like 5 minutes.
Yes.
And that does definitely make a big difference on the estimated time. I noticed that the other day it said like an hour, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And then I put it to the right machine, and it went down to like
Exactly.
10 minutes. I'm like, okay.
And I'm also I'm networked to the machine and not plugged in. If you're plugged in, it will give you the accurate time because it's hooked up to the machine.
Awesome.
The networking makes it a little bit wonky. That's why we recommend directly connecting via the USB to your machine. Makes things a little bit easier. But I think everything looks good, so I'm going to hit OK. I already sent it over to the machine. And then I'm going to go ahead and just kind of pop over here real quick.
Ooh, but what did you do to the slate ahead of time?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. So you can absolutely just run slate, just raw on there. But if you want to enhance your image just a little bit for an extra pop, just put a nice clear coat spray paint over top of there. It gives a nice glossy finish that reacts really well with the laser and helps those images really, really pop. If you look on the table here, if we can cut to that camera, you can kind of see that Santa cutting board that I already did on there and how crisp and clean that looks on there already. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop this guy into the machine here. We're just going to lay it however we'd like. I'm going to put it right here. And, you know, make sure that you're getting approximately even with that. I'm going to get my handy dandy focus stick, and I am going to use the 1.5 inch lens for this, just to make that image, again, get more detail out of that. I would highly, highly recommend getting that lens kit with the purchase of your machine, just because there's a lot more we can do with that. While I'm setting this up, I don't know if you or Shannon would like to go over kind of the different lenses. That would be great. Just kind of explain what they can do.
Gotcha. Yeah, every machine comes with a standard 2-inch focus lens. That's going to be your general purpose lens. It's going to do most of your engraving and cutting, but you can get a lens kit with the machine. It's got 4 different lenses. It'll have the 1.5 inch like she's talking about here. That's really good for your high definition engraving, so high definition photos, things like that. The 3 and the 4 inch lenses come into play when you're cutting through thicker materials, or you're doing materials or engraving on objects that aren't completely flat and not like rotary type materials. So if you're thinking like a basketball or I don't know what
casket, whiskey barrel.
Oh yeah, whiskey barrels and stuff. Yep. So as you're going in and out of focus, you'll be able to use those longer focal lenses, and that'll allow you to get a higher resolution with when you're going in and out of focus.
Or also for like bowls, the inside of bowls.
Oh yeah.
Because also like if you were using a 2-inch lens, your nozzle would hit the side of the bowl.
Correct.
So if you use a 4-inch lens, then and you take off the nozzle, then you can actually get the inside of
Yep.
the bowl. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good input.
Yep. And somebody asked about speed and power settings. We give a little handy dandy guide with suggested speed and power settings for each machine, which should be in the owner's manual. I usually use that as a guide, and then I find what works best for me. You know, kind of practice. You know, you learn so much just by using your machine and running little, you know, trying different things out. And
Yep, trial and error goes a long way.
Yeah, I always tell everybody, when you get your machine, just engrave everything around your house, as long as you know it's not hazardous or, you know, one of those.
So there's a couple good
hazardous
questions here in the
material.
chat. Somebody's asking about food grade paint. If you're using the slate cutting boards, you don't even need to use the clear coat or the paint at all. It's still going to look really beautiful, and then you don't have to worry about any toxins in food or anything.
Yeah.
So if you're making like a Christmas gift or a wedding present or something like that, just don't use the clear coat, and then you won't have to worry about it, because the slate's an all-natural material, so that's good.
Yeah,
And
it's
speaking
just
of-
to add a little extra pop if you're having it like as a display pice.
Right.
You don't
Okay.
need it. It just adds a little bit of extra flair for you.
Oh no, somebody was saying can't hear. Could they not hear you when you were standing up?
Oh, probably not.
Oh, sorry.
Can you
Sorry, I
hear us
didn't think
now?
about that.
Can you hear me now? Another fun fact about the laser is that it actually is food safe. Essentially, a laser is like a beam of fire.
Yep.
So, we've done Christmas cookies. There's a video on the AP Lazer TikTok if you want to check that out. And that's just more for fun. I mean, it did taste a little bit burnt, but it looks cool.
But you can also hone in those settings to not make
Yeah.
it as burnt.
Right. I mean, it's basically like creme brulee. You take a torch
Exactly.
and, voila, creme
Caramel,
brulee.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So
There you
a lot
go.
of people did pumpkin pies over Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That was a really popular thing to do.
And the pumpkins for Halloween, we just
Yes.
we hold a contest every year
Yep.
where we have our customers engrave pumpkins for fun. You can put whatever you like on there. You could do this for your business. Just have your logo on your pumpkin sitting outside your business.
Or
which
you
is
can
super
logo
fun.
other businesses and charge for that engraving as well. Yeah.
Right.
I saw
I've seen those go
someone-
near $50 to $100.
And I saw
for an
someone in
engraved
our
pumpkin.
user group, they said they made about $400, $500 just engraving pumpkin pies for businesses
That's
for
Really?
Thanksgiving this year. Yeah.
Wow.
So there's
Okay.
there's an industry for that. That's
Yeah.
what's so cool about the laser. You might think, oh, but everybody's got some sort of laser nowadays. But you just find your niche, you work within that, and you're the go-to person.
Yeah.
Especially within...
Pops agrees with us in the chat. He
Yeah.
said pumpkin pies laser great.
Hey,
So yeah.
Pops.
Yeah.
I always say hey Pops whenever we're doing a live thing. Hey Pops.
There was another question about look like cardstock, maybe in Amazon for the price.
Yeah.
Amazon's a little hard to find the black poster board that you're looking for because you got to make sure it's got that white core. The easiest place to find it is usually the Dollar Tree.
Yeah,
That's
Walmart.
what I
Oh,
heard.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or any place that has like office supplies. They should have all the different color poster board like you'll see for like yard sale signs, those kind of
Yeah,
things, or
exactly.
kids crafts, and that's where you'll find that black poster board.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And it's usually like a buck
Dollar
a
Tree's
sheet.
good for like cheap wine glasses that you want to practice on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That,
super
like,
good.
Yeah.
It's just more of a display,
Yep.
But I really like the AP Lazer web store, just saying.
We got some really cool stuff on there.
We do. We got the slate cutting boards.
Yep, we got the promo on
who's
the
gonna
cutting
drop
boards.
A promo.
They'll throw it on there.
No, but the slate cutting boards are awesome. We have tons of slate products. All the pet markers, there's tons. And those are pretty inexpensive. And
Yeah.
I feel like the pet markers are really good ROI.
Yeah, they are.
They really
Yeah.
are.
But
That's a market that, it's people always want, a fun gift to remember,
Yeah.
their pets. I know I personally made myself one when my cat passed away just
Mhm.
because, it's something that really means a lot to me.
Yep.
And I've made a couple things for friends and family, and it's just like getting to see their face light up as they see like their best friend again
Yeah.
memorialized. It's huge.
Yeah,
It's
when you can
huge.
tag on those or play on those emotional marketing things like that, or those emotional ties with people for their gifts and different things, that's really going to improve like how well they're going to receive that. What was that stat we just heard about how many Christmas gifts are thrown away every year?
oh yeah,
was like-
Tong just came in and told us.
Yeah, it was something like $18 billion in Christmas gifts are like just basically thrown away
It was
every year.
something
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Which is why I said, if you're making a bunch of Christmas ornaments, maybe don't put, the year or just
Unless
make it
it's a
more-
commemorative.
Yeah, unless
you know?
it's a commemorative.
Yeah, like baby's
it's
first Christmas, those kind of
baby
things,
first-
or first
Oh,
wedding, or first. Oh, you have one right there.
Speaking of which, I need to paint the back still. Baby's first Christmas.
It's super cute.
I know. I love the sparkles. I love
And
the
that's an
layered
example
stuff.
of the kind of layered ornament that I'm going to be showing later as well.
Very cool.
Yeah. Don't focus in on my hands though, because I've been crafting a lot. But yeah, I love the layered stuff. Just the wood and all that, but especially the acrylic. AP Lazer I don't want to drop that again, but AP Lazer's got a ton of really nice acrylic, like different colors and stuff, and mirrored, and you can get really creative.
Oh, they're dropping
with it.
discount codes in the chat.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
for
Oh,
pet
look.
markers. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely, get your hands on those because it's good time to buy your materials in bulk up.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and I really like the AP Lazer store also for the different tumblers. They're a lot cheaper than other
Yeah.
competitors.
Well, and I know that we are getting in. We have these super nice Stanley dupes.
Yeah.
And I have kept my drink cold in there for like an entire day.
Nice.
It's crazy.
Oh, yeah, they'll be
so like
iced, like, 3 days
they
later.
work.
Yeah.
They
They're good
work.
looking, too.
I'll forget I had
Yeah.
a drink in there, and I'll rattle it, and the ice cubes will still be in there. So
Nice.
like they work.
Well, check out this thing though. I did this last night. This is great for like the boat. Okay, it's a koozie holder. Well, it's a can holder. See, it is a Diet Coke.
But it's also
I promise it was a Diet Coke.
but it's also for hot liquids as well.
Yeah. It's got
It's
another
got 2 different lids.
Yeah, and these are only like $8.50 on the web store, on the AP Lazer store. But I love these. These are great for the boat.
Yeah,
you know?
that was my thought. Was the
And
boat.
they come with a straw.
Yep.
I could sell tons of these at the lake or
Yeah.
You know.
And with every boat, I mean, everybody's going to want a set of them. So you could sell like 4
Yeah.
or 6 or 8 at a time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll just hustle them out the end of the at the boat. You know, nobody likes a warm Miller Lite.
Well, and I know we also have some new cups coming in, just our regular, 20-ounce tumblers, 16-ounce tumblers that we
Are
have.
they?
We've got new lids for those so that they
yeah.
have those really nice, like pretty much.
Oh yeah,
what-
the magnet lids.
The magnet
I just heard
lids,
about that the other
just
day.
like
Thank
yeah,
God.
just like what Yeti
magnet
cups have.
lids.
Super
Yeah.
super excited for those to come in because
Can't wait.
I love the screw tops too, because how many times am I like walking my dog and I got my tumbler and like the tumblers of the past, but now like with the magnet lids, you know, because my dog sees a squirrel, it's like, "Brr," you know, takes off and then my drink goes flying. Yeah, great. I'm excited for that.
Very
And
cool.
also the Ion, they got the new like gold underneath with the black and the gold.
Really?
Those are awesome.
yeah,
check that
our-
out.
Yeah.
we have I think it comes in all the sizes, but we have those so it's layered under. So
Really?
you can engrave and the gold will show through instead
Oh, I'm
of
excited
the
now.
silver or
I haven't even
different
heard of
things
this.
like that.
This is news to me.
It is
Oh, you
super
didn't know?
exciting. And they
No, I didn't know.
They turn out so nice as well. I wish I had mine here to show you guys because it's so good.
Yeah, there's so many new cool tumblers out there nowadays.
Yes.
Like there's
Christmas
like,
presents, I hear.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's
Since
right.
I got to get caught up.
You know, when you got a laser, you don't have to go Christmas shopping
No.
for everybody because everybody in my family's going to get a laser engraved
Exactly.
something.
Exactly.
Oh, I forgot your birthday. Oh, give me 5 minutes. I'll go whip you up something. And
Exactly.
They don't even know
And
the
that's the
difference.
thing too. Like once you get going on the machine, you can do this stuff so quick. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
you saw how I kind of again, I recommend watching the videos that we have on our YouTube channel just cuz I break things down a little bit slower and easier to go through.
Mm-hmm.
But you saw how quickly I went through doing that photo editing. It's just like second nature to me now, and I really didn't figure out how to do that until too long ago. So
Right.
like once it clicks for you, you'll be able to go through and just do 50 different things at once. It's crazy.
Especially for like vector stuff like
Oh my
that.
gosh.
For me, I could have something done in 2 seconds.
We got another question in the chat here. Jason's asking, are all AP lasers that quick?
Yes.
Yeah, the speed and power is going to be pretty linear across all the different machines. You might have to go a little bit slower on a lower wattage machine if you're doing like cutting, but as far as engraving is going to be about the same across all of them. So it's pretty quick. It's fun too. So
It is, and it's like honestly, if you're doing something that's like super quick, I like to just kind of watch it go. You know, it's really like hypnotizing just to see like the machine work. It's crazy, like what it can do.
yeah, because
There's
it's
so
not
much
even
that
touching it and images appear.
Exactly.
Or things,
Right.
Yeah.
Like
I
there's
mean-
so much that I haven't thought about. Like, oh, I didn't even know you could do that.
Oh, there's so many new tricks I see all the time, you know, and I'm like, oh, why didn't I think of that? And,
Exactly.
You know, it's kind of funny. Tony, how long have me and you worked here? A long time.
Yeah, I'm getting close to a decade. Yeah, so
Yeah, we've been here a long time.
I didn't used to have a beard.
No.
And when it started growing, it had no gray in it.
Tony
So
did not have a beard when he first started working here, but now look at him, and I've gained a
Ah.
couple wrinkles. I'm just kidding. But no, I was gonna say I still get excited about the laser stuff, you know. And you would think,
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a long 6 years I've worked here, and I'm still like, ooh, I made something last night, and I was like really excited about it.
it never gets old. It never gets old.
Right.
It's always fun.
Yeah.
I'm still hearing new ideas. Every week I talk to somebody who's got a new idea that I've never heard before. And I've talked to
Exactly.
thousands of people over the last couple of years. I keep hearing new, and they spark my imagination, and they're exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when it comes to like the niche, you know, you might think, I always tell people, like, you might think you're going to go into, you know, the pet industry or something, but then all of a sudden you might just get, the niche finds you.
Yeah,
and it's,
yeah, I found that
yeah.
with the things that I've made for customers is sometimes they'll give you an idea, like something you've not done before, and next thing you know, you're getting requests for more of that same product, and it's it's not an avenue you were thinking of going in. So
Oh, right.
yeah,
Yeah, kind
yeah,
of
a lot of laser owners find that it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I kind of stumbled into like the epoxy stuff, and
Oh, really?
that's so fun. I love, and then you laser it too, and it's like now I'm just the wheels are turning. There's like
Awesome.
a million things I could do with it. It's so much fun.
Well, you know, we have a really special guest waiting for us to hop
Oh,
in
we don't
here.
want to leave our special guest waiting.
And she's got some really good tips and
Is she
tricks on
waiting?
how to do different things. If we're ready
Who
to
is it?
introduce her,
Who is
we can
it?
pull her
Can we
in.
bring her in?
Ready.
Oh, there she is! Let me unmute my Zoom so I can talk to you. Hello.
Is she in there?
Oh,
Hi, Bonnie. How are
are
ya?
you in there?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. So I know you have you've been working on some really fun stuff, and I mean, you've made some really good stuff just over the years. You're one of our, I love looking at the stuff that you create, but you kind of introduce yourself, how long you've been working with the laser, and the fun stuff you get to do.
Okay. So, of course, I'm Bonnie Gilbert, and I think we decided we've been around 7 years. This in November actually is when we got our first laser, and of course now we have 4. So I'm a little obsessed. But we originally got in because we knew that we were always going to have a side gig to retire. And so when we started out, we still were both working full-time jobs. We played with the laser in our free time, and we started to build up a little side business. And now we actually both are retired. And we, in fact, our following is so good that I don't even have to advertise anymore. We are as busy as we want to be. And we actually shut down and go to Florida for 2 months in the winter to get away from the cold. So we're living our dream right now of what we intended to do at the time we got our first laser. So
That's
what
exciting.
I
That's cool.
prepared for, and like I said, to give to all you youngsters, I get jealous because I'd love to do everything you guys do. But then it dawns on me that I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I have 5 grandchildren, and I always make time for them. And I, other than at Christmas time, usually I'm only working 30 hours a week at the most. So it's really been excellent. It pays for us enjoying going down to Florida every year, and not to mention all the friends and new family we meet, being part of the AP Lazer family. So, anyway.
Yeah. That is super exciting. I know, I've been working with AP Lazer for, I think, 2 years now, too. I always think it's longer because I feel like I've been here for so long, which is a good thing. I've really become... Yeah, I've really become part of the family, which is really, really nice. So it feels like I've been here forever, my whole life, But
yeah,
you mentioned the AP Lazer family, which is just, oh my God, it is so amazing to have the community that we have. Getting to know these people, kind of getting to share ideas and help each other out. It's crazy. It's really, really cool.
And that is the thing that when we had financially come out of a hole when we discussed getting this laser, and it was Aaron that was there when we went over to Lansing to check it out, and both of us, we went in going with the idea of getting the 1812, and of course we came out with something bigger.
Always.
I thought Bill was just humoring me. And he was the one that actually, was like, okay, we got to do this. But the one thing we've always said is when we left that day, I can remember us talking about how we didn't feel like we'd be alone. And that has been the truth tenfold over. We have always had people to reach out to and help us. And, there's not a culture of, oh, you're my competition,
No.
I learned early on that we are just brothers and sisters in the laser world. We don't have any competition, and everybody's more than willing to share their ideas and their successes and our failures, because my big thing is I've made a lot of failures, and so I try to tell new people all those so they can skip and go right to the success part.
I think that's probably one of the most fun parts about my job is I get to just experiment with this machine all day. So when I get to meet new people or talk with the customers in any way, I'm like, hey, don't do it this way. It didn't work out.
Exactly. I've always learned by error, and so if there's any use I have, it's to try to keep you from making those.
Yes, exactly. I'm always honestly excited when somebody comes to me with like, oh, I'm thinking about just doing it this way or doing it that way. And I'm like, no. There's way easier way to do that.
That's why the
Let
user
me
group.
show you.
Yeah, that user group comes in handy for that reason, doesn't it?
Yeah, the user group really comes in handy for that. They're very, very helpful.
Yes.
So there's always kind of different tips and tricks in there and all of that. But man, I know you are always a good source of information as well, Bonnie. And we're talking about the Christmas season and the ornaments you make are just, I've never seen anything like that.
Oh,
Do you have any examples to show us?
So what I did is, and I actually talked about this a couple of years ago, I think, at a laser con, but there was kind of, on sun catchers, there was, sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied here, but I like the look of the sun catcher look. And of course, you can buy acrylic already with the, it's transparent, it has the designs on it and everything, but sometimes it can be pricey. And so I always like to have an when somebody's starting out, they're trying to do things a little more economically. So what I found online, this isn't something I created, but if you just take, and I've got a piece of clear acrylic, and of course I got this from the AP web store. For those of you that haven't bought from our AP web store, I gotta tell you that the prices on the acrylic is very good. And of course, if it's on special, then or on sale, it's even a better bargain. And the nice thing is AP has them in the sizes to fit the bed of your machine. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to worry about getting too small of a piece or too big of a piece. They have them in stock for all sizes of machine. So at least in the clear acrylic, I know they do. So anyway, what I do is I like to create a stained glass ornament, and let me show you what it's going to look like when it's finished. So here is one that it's a layered design. So there's a top layer that I cut out, and then in the bottom layer, I create a stained glass look, and I can do that very inexpensively, making it myself.
Yeah,
so
that is really, really nice.
I start out with the clear acrylic, and I actually, now if you're familiar working with acrylic, if you etch acrylic, you always want to take off, because AP comes with the plastic protective sheeting on both sides.
Yep.
So, but if you're just cutting like out ornament designs, I found that I don't need to take either one off, so that I don't have to worry about scratches or anything, while I'm getting everything ready. So, so what I do is let me go back to that. I actually pull off one side of it, and then I get alcohol inks. And you can get these in craft stores. The brand I use is called T-Rex. I think it's a little family-owned business, so I order it online. You can get these at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann's, everywhere. But alcohol inks, a lot of people have these around, and you can get them very inexpensive. And what I do is I take off one side of the plastic, and then I just dribble. It's very therapeutic. I just dribble different colors of alcohol ink, and they will pool and they will spill, and you can take a drinking straw and you can blow and create lines and patterns with the alcohol inks. And so you can do a whole sheet at once and then cut it out. Or I'm having a family gathering this weekend, and this is one of the projects we're going to do. So what I've done ahead of time is I've cut out the ornament backs, and I have a whole stack of clear ones, and I'm going to let them design their own stained glass part, okay? But if you're going to do a group of them, it's faster to just go ahead and ink your whole sheet. You let it dry overnight. And then on the alcohol ink side, you're going to use a product called Kamar Varnish. It's by Krylon. And what it is you can't use a polyurethane over these alcohol inks because it reacts with them. So this is like an artist finish, and you can spray a coat of this over it, a light coat, to just kind of set the ink, to put a little protective surface on it for you, okay?
No, that's a really good point. You always have to think about what reaction either the material's going to have with, especially if you're using like a spray paint, or if the laser's going to have reaction with it. So that's always a good thing to know. Like, make sure you're not going to ruin your thing.
Your thing doesn't mix with alcohol. So then what I do is I would put the whole sheet in, and of course you can, with your array feature in LightBurn, you can fill up the whole sheet with the shapes of your ornament, and when you're doing the two layers, what you're doing actually is the ornament is just the shape, and then I still cut out the hanging hole, the backer, and then of course this has the design cut out. Okay, so you're going to have this all colored beautifully, and then you're going to let it dry. You're going to spray it with a Kamar varnish, and then I'll cut them out. Okay. Now I actually, until I'm all done, I leave that back side of the plastic on, because that just protects your project while you're working on it. And so when I'm all done, finished with my ornament, I go ahead and peel that off the back. Okay. But it just keeps it nice.
Right.
Okay?
And that's a good point. Even if you're spray painting or adding color at any point, just leave that back on there till you're good to go.
Exactly. It just keeps everything cleaner and nicer until you're ready to give it away. The other thing I use now, this are the types of things that I use for the topper, the part of the ornament that you're going to cut out, that layer. So you can buy some veneered wood, so you can get different kind of woods, and some of them are finished, some of them are unfinished. If this one's unfinished, if I was to put polyurethane on or something, it would have a deep, rich look to it, very similar to this one. Okay, and then also from AP Lazer web store, they sell mirrored acrylic. And of course, they have gorgeous colors of opaque acrylic. Okay, so the sky's the limit with your combinations. And these don't have to be just for Christmas time.
No.
I make these sun catcher ornaments for Easter, for any holiday, for birthdays, for memorial gifts. The concept is limitless. Okay, and so let me show you what one looked like. This is the beautiful baby blue acrylic. I don't know what the actual color it's called, from AP, and I have it on like a pink background. And if you can guide me, I can't tell if you're seeing this because I'm little.
Yeah, we can see that. Here. That looks really good.
Okay, here's the blue on like a green and blue background.
Ooh.
And then
yeah, that looks really nice.
And then here's the wood one.
Ooh, yeah, see, that wood really kind of adds a nice natural touch.
And then one of my very favorites is the mirror. You guys, these mirrors are, it's endless what you can do with this mirror acrylic. On my wreath, my husband actually broke it yesterday, but on my wreath on my front door, I cut out the words "Hello Winter" and put it in the center. And last year for Christmas presents, I cut out people's last names, you know, like the Smiths or the Gilberts or whatever. And I do tiny holes and use fishing wire so you can't see it, or fishing line. And then you hang it. You can take a ready-made wreath and personalize it by just hanging their name cut out of mirror. It's just gorgeous.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Very festive.
Well, and I
So
know, like,
then
I've
the
used the mirror for doing photos even, like, customizing it just as, like, a mirror you would hang up, because they work just as well.
Yes. And that can use for weddings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just endless. Just playing with mirror could take you weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So then the other product that's very helpful with these is when you're cutting out the pattern, okay, I use on the back, because it's very simple, is 3M adhesive tape.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Now,
Gotcha.
because I use it all the time, I buy it in a big roll. Okay. But you can get them in just plain sheets. You can also get a smaller roll and just do stripes on the back. You know, as long as most of the ornament has some of it on the back of it, it's going to stick, because once you place this stuff, it's pretty much
It
there
is
for
on
good.
there. Yep. That's what's really nice about that, is you put it on, you can cut it out, you don't have to worry about getting glue all over your fingers or, you know, seeing glue spots show up on your material. It's so worth it.
This is
Very
one
cool.
of Bonnie's favorite top 10s, definitely, is the
Very cool.
3M. So then all I'm going to do is I'm going to peel off the carrier sheet and off the 3M, and then just stick. It's easy to line it up because you've got the top of the ornament. Just stick it there, you put a ribbon on, and you're done.
Yeah. It's
Now,
really
the
that simple.
other option, if you don't have 3M, or you, for whatever reason, can't get it, but this is a little messier. The other option would be to get the 3M spray adhesive.
Oh, wow.
It's called Super 77. And so what you would do is you would lay the front side down, and of course you want to do it in an area that, you know, you've got papers down or something, because this will make a mess. And then you just spray the back with the back of the ornament, the back side, and then same thing. You immediately glue it, and it's tiny forgiving, not much, but you get a nice adhesive there too. But 3M is just my favorite, the sheets, because it's just not as messy.
That seems like a great
And then
solution.
the other,
Yeah.
So, Bonnie,
the other
thanks for...
thing is make sure you wear gloves when you're using the alcohol inks and play clothes, because they will stain.
Exactly.
I keep forgetting, and my fingers are...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You get the craft hands is what I call them.
Bonnie, we were just talking about that. My
So
craft
let me look and
hands.
see if I told you. Yes. So that's really all it. You just need a bottom, you know, which is the clear acrylic.
Mm-hmm.
You design it any way you want it with the alcohol inks. You do the Camar spray on it after the inks have dried. And then you cut out the back of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fronts, you can use any of those wonderful acrylics or mirror, or, you know, whatever, you know, even just the plain Baltic birch, you know, whatever you have can be the front. And of course, those you can paint any color you want too.
We're getting a couple questions on your acrylic, Bonnie.
Sure.
We got some questions on the chat. They're asking if the mirrored acrylic is still mirrored. Yeah, it still is reflective. It's just like a regular mirror. And when you cut it out, it's whatever shape you make it, isn't it?
Right.
Another question came up about cutting clear acrylic. Yeah, the CO2 lasers cut it no problem.
Yes.
Yeah, diodes, you know, I honestly wouldn't really recommend them for much. If you're getting started with, you know, laser technology, you know, they're good for that, but there's not much power to back up much of anything on those.
Not for production reasons. Yeah. So.
Right. Yes, of course, everything is cut on my AP CO2 lasers.
Yeah.
Well, Bonnie, thank you for joining us today. They're telling us we got to wrap things up. We're getting a little long-winded here. I'm sorry.
And pleasure talking to you guys, and everybody have a wonderful, safe.
Yeah, we love having you.
Okay?
Yes.
Thanks,
you
Bonnie.
are such a wonderful presence here. So yeah, have a happy holiday. Merry
We
Christmas.
love you, Bonnie. Merry
Thank you so
Christmas.
much. Take care.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Thanks.
And I know we did have a couple other questions pop in here.
Okay,
I know
awesome.
Frank had asked if you engrave the front or the back of the mirrored acrylic. You would engrave the back. So I kind of I have an example of it here. So the front is that mirrored, but we have that nice gold, which this has the film on it, so obviously you can't really see too much of the reflection, which is good. You don't want to see the cameras and stuff. But this back, you can see the gray coating on here. This is the part you're going to engrave. So when you're engraving on this, just like you would with regular acrylic, you know, if you're doing, if you're going to flip that image around like I did with those ornaments on the table, I engraved them inverse on the back of the material so that it shows clear on the front and there's like no texture or anything on there.
That's
so just
really
make
important
sure,
with text.
Yes, exactly. Make sure you invert your image or you're gonna...
Photos
it's going to
you
be
can get
backwards when
Yeah.
you turn it around to the mirrored side.
Yeah, a lot of times photos you can get away with, but
Right.
text, no.
Right,
I
right.
love that stuff though. And then they have a rose gold one too.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds cool.
I use that to make some little medallions for who won the costume contest at the Halloween party. You know, first place,
Yes.
second place, and it looks like the real. You know, for a kid party. I mean,
Yeah,
sure, it looks like
yeah.
real enough.
And I'll show just real quick. I have, you know, just a simple project. I can show you just kind of some of the things we were talking about with Bonnie's demo. If we pull up my computer, I'll go into LightBurn here real quick. Let me close this so it's not in the way. I'm just going to go ahead and open this up to show you. Let me find my Christmas ornament file. And this is just a super, super basic one. So, you know, it's just 2 layers, just like Bonnie was showing. There's a back, which is just the big circle here. That's what she would do with, like, the clear acrylic. Or, you know, we have, I don't even know how many colors in our AP web store now. We've got the whole Rainbow Plus.
Yeah,
There's a lot.
I'd say there's 30 to 50 colors
There's
in there. There's a lot.
so many.
Yeah.
And you get to, you know, you can just do so much with that.
Yep, different shades.
Personally, I've made a couple big signs with those for myself just because there's, again, doing the layered stuff is so super fun, super
Cake
cool.
toppers is
Yes.
really fun because then you need kind of a lot of different colors if you're doing something really
Exactly.
Like,
I know-
specific.
Yep.
Shannon, if you could show the sign
Oh,
you made.
yeah.
This is something that, you know, she used wood and painted it, but this is something you could very easily
Oh, it would
do.
have been way quicker with acrylic.
Yes, because we have these colors that you could use very easily just to do this. No painting needed.
Yeah, and this
Yeah.
one's actually three layers, maybe more. I don't. Yeah, this one I did last night, but I went through the time, you know, of painting it because the farmers market wanted it all handmade items, but it would have been way quicker with just using acrylic. Saved
Yeah.
me a lot of time.
Yeah. And, you know, it really is, you know, like we said, you know, everything within LightBurn is so super easy. And the feature, I know Bonnie had talked about it for a moment, but if you need to do like 20, 30, 50 ornaments and you just want to fit them all, especially if you have the larger machines that we offer, you can do an array of those.
Even on the smaller machines, you
Yes.
just won't be able to do as many at one
Exactly,
time.
but
yeah,
there's still room. Like this is just a 3-inch ornament.
Yeah.
You can do quite a few of those. Even
you could
on
do
our
at least a
1812.
dozen on the
Yeah.
1812, yeah.
Yeah.
So in LightBurn, if you select, like, you know, I want the front and the back, obviously, to be cut out there. So
There
if
you
you
go.
select everything that you want in the array, there's this little tool over here. It's just these little stack of boxes. If you go ahead and click on that, it pulls up the create grid array menu. And there's X and Y columns. And if you go ahead and click on those, you can see it's going to start making multiples of those, which is really, really nice when you just need to kind of lay out, and especially when you need to save material. You can get these as close as you possibly can. See, there's still space there, and you're getting those right up next to each other, which is really,
Yeah.
really nice for saving material. Whereas if you're like trying to cut one and then you need to reposition it, you're going to have to kind of gauge how close you're getting on there on the machine, which you can absolutely do.
Yep.
But LightBurn makes it easier.
Yeah,
and
it's very
we're
easy.
all about making things easier.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and saving materials too.
Yes, exactly.
And then the little gaps in between the circles, you can
Yep.
use that to cut out your snowflakes.
Exactly,
Or your little,
you know?
Yeah.
So it's really, really easy to do just so much of this at once. And, you know, I've got that stat going there. this is the laser bed that I have here, the 4836. So this is the whole area that you can take up to make these ornaments.
Yeah, you could do probably 6 batches of that.
Exactly. You put a full sheet of material in there, which we do offer, acrylic size to whatever machine you're working on. So if you want to get that full 4836 sheet of acrylic, throw it in there, run all these at once on that material, you absolutely can.
Yeah, the acrylic saves so much time because honestly, I'm making like 100 Christmas ornaments right now. Like, here's like another one that I did that was like super layered and detailed.
Yeah.
But the laser part of it was like seconds. That's not the hard part. The hard part's like, glue.
But if you're using the acrylic that's already colored and you're using that 3M tape adhesive that Bonnie mentioned, it's just pop it off, stick it together, pop it off, stick it together.
Speaking of which, there was a question in the chat regarding that 3M tape. They were asking when you apply that tape. You can put it on before you laser cut
it. Yes.
Yeah, so then it's ready to go and it's already cut out in that shape. So all you got to do is peel that backing off and then you can adhere it. So
it makes sign making, little ornament making, makes it so much easier.
Quicker. Time is money.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not going to go over this too much since Bonnie kind of walked us through the entire process, which was nice.
How did your cutting board turn out?
We can pull that out right now, actually.
Yeah, that got done way a while ago.
Yeah, we almost forgot about the Santa cutting board. Oh, I like your Christmas sweater. Is that a PlayStation?
It is.
I love it. Oh, that's awesome.
But you can kind of see this turned out really, really nice.
I don't know if we can zoom in, but
no, that's really nice.
He says put on the table.
Put it on the table there. Yeah. But I mean, we have that other one there that looks really nice as well. And again, that was so quick. I'd say it took less than 15 minutes to run that whole thing. Again, if you have that higher DPI, it's going to take a lot longer. What took 15 minutes could have taken an hour plus if you up to like 1,000 DPI, but you don't need it.
Yeah, it's not necessary. A lot of times you don't have to go that high of a resolution. If you go to lower resolution and it still has a really good quality, you're going to really cut down your production time.
Absolutely.
So that's a good trick.
Like, too many dots per inch can sometimes like blow it out. That's why I always remember it, like a billboard has a lot, because you're from I think it's more, right? Because you're from a distance, so you can see, but with the laser stuff, you want less dots per inch because, I don't know. I think that's what I was going with that one, but there's some truth hidden in this.
Yeah, if you're ever in doubt, you can either reach out to either your AP Lazer team or the user group, and they can help point you in the right directions to kind of maximize your resolution and still cut down your production time so you don't have so much time spent on the laser machine.
Exactly. So. And it's always, again, if you have anything and you're like, I just really don't know, even if you're just struggling to make a project, tech support is there for you. It's not just, machine's not working. It's, I really don't know how to do this thing.
Yeah.
We can usually help walk you through it, which is really, really nice. Like, we have very knowledgeable members on that team as well.
Yeah.
So
I'd say if you add up all the years of experience in the whole team, there's probably 100 years of experience among all of us. So somebody's got to answer somewhere. So we've got it.
Well, and with those different, we've gone over photos, we've gone over how to cut things out, which is really nice. Another cool thing that you can do within the machines is just doing roster engraving, just vector engraving. Super, super easy. Yeah. Really, really quick.
Yep, that's what I taught myself on when I first started here. I didn't have any formal training. I just got on the AP Lazer University, and I was able to punch out my first Christmas presents.
Yeah. I literally just watched the Jason video on photo engraving, whole thing. Yeah, I mean, it's good for a refresher. That's on the YouTube channel, by the way. But yeah, that's a really good refresher for Corel Draw and stuff.
Yeah, we have a lot of videos out there. If there's anything that you I don't know how to do this, we probably already have a video for it. And if we don't and you want that video, you can send us suggestions. We're happy to adhere to those suggestions.
Yeah, sometimes we run out of ideas.
Yeah, exactly. And even if you're just talking to, your sales team member and you're like, I really don't know because I want to know how to do this and I don't know if it does that, they can convey that back to us and we can make a little tutorial for you to tell you, yes, this is possible, or no, and this is why.
Yeah.
We will always give you the reason why something doesn't work.
Right.
So
but
that's what's
bottom
really
line
nice.
is pretty much if you dream it, you can do it. The only things you want to stay away from is just dangerous stuff.
Exactly.
You know,
which we
PVC
do have a
is the
list that
biggest
we
one.
give you as well.
Yeah, PVC. Anything with PVC is usually the
That's
most
the big.
common.
That's the big one.
thing.
But the things that aren't dangerous
Yeah.
are these products that we've done today, like the cutting board and the acrylic. Those are really good products. And speaking of cutting boards, we have a really cool promo going on right now for SN 1812s. It's only available for the first 3 buyers, but they're going to throw in, I believe, 250 cutting boards with an 1812 purchase.
Yeah, a mix of slate and wood.
There it is. It's on the screen there. So
This is an awesome deal, by the way, because 250 cutting boards. You know how much
that's a
money
lot
you can
of
make.
jump start in your
I mean,
business.
like
I'll
I
tell
would
you
sell a
what.
cutting board for probably at least $10. I mean, like a little one or a big one. I've sold, like I've seen some go for 100, but it depends on what you're doing and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But I mean, that's money.
Well, and think of like those work for any season.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Who
my
doesn't
go-to.
want a custom cutting board?
Yeah, that's my go-to for wedding presents.
Real
It's-
estate closing gifts is another big one.
Yes. Yes.
Yep. So first 3 people. That's one
On
of
the
our
1812s,
presents.
yep.
First 3 people that get an 1812. It's a great little machine. 250 cutting boards.
Exactly. Exactly. And another really good, just all around gift for any time of the year, especially for Christmas, but pretty much any time, is our tumblers.
Yes.
Like
Oh,
tumblers
speaking of which,
are huge. Everybody wants a custom tumbler. I want a custom tumbler. That was the first thing I made when I started working here. I was like, I need a tumbler for myself.
I always have one.
And now I think I have 4 or 5 at home just because I love them and I want them for different occasions.
yeah, I don't drink out of
and-
regular cups anymore.
No,
What's the point?
it's
Why?
so boring. It's so
I like my
boring.
adult sippy cups.
Yes, and especially we've got these Stanley.
You can take 'em with you.
now.
Yeah, take them.
That's the cool thing about the tumblers is you take your drinks with you.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you
So-
can advertise your business.
They
You
don't
can
break.
advertise, for someone else. You can get their business on there for them, or
Yep,
you can just
exactly.
have something fun, put a picture on there. You can do photos on Tumblr, which is
I've seen quite a
crazy.
few people do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. We
Tumblrs-
have that example on the table of the tiger that I did. That was just a photo I found online, and I was able to get it onto the Tumblr.
That's very cool.
You can do that with anybody's photo,
And tumblers are like, we all get sick of running tumblers all the time, but you know what? They're a great money maker. They're like,
They really, really
they're
are.
a great foundation for, they having in the AP Lazer. I always say, like, even with the smallest machine, like since we're doing the SN 1812 promotion, 11 tumblers a month or less makes your payment if you were to finance that machine.
Exactly.
That's nothing. I mean, you get orders for 500 tumblers for a business.
Yeah.
Okay, you can sit back and take a couple months off after you're done with that.
Just like Bonnie said,
Yeah?
Yep, she gets her vacation time now.
Yeah.
Just because she's got that word of mouth community that people keep coming back to her.
Yeah.
She doesn't even have to search out for orders anymore because people just want to have her
Yep. She
creations
cut out
in
her
their
marketing
lives.
altogether. Yeah,
It's
that's pretty cool.
Really, really nice. And, it takes a while to get there. You've got to build up that reputation, get out there, do events,
Yep, the
talk
client
with
base, yeah.
people. I'd say word of mouth marketing is probably the best marketing you can do for this type of creations.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
You can always pool money into doing Etsy or starting your own online business, which having an online shop still is good.
It
Yep.
is.
But nobody's going to know how to get to your shop if you're not talking to people.
Correct.
So it's always good to get out in your community and say, hey, I made this little tumbler just for you. And then they'll go, oh, wow,
Yep.
you can make these?
What really
They'll
helps?
come back to you.
Yeah, what really helps that is actually having a good, clean, quality product.
Exactly.
And that's what we're here to help you do.
Yes.
That's what
Right.
the AP Lazer user group is there to help you do. If you're having any troubles along the way, reach out to us, reach out to the group, and we can give you pointers and help you get those high quality products that you can put in front of people that are going to give you that wow factor.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, so we have 20-ounce tumblers on the AP Lazer store right now. They're only $5.50.
What?
Yeah, so that's a great.
That's less than
it costs you
JDS and anybody.
$5. It's way less than JDS, and don't get me wrong, I love JDS, but nothing beats this price.
Yeah,
I mean, JDS
that's
is
awesome.
like $8 or something, but or maybe $7. But anyway, $5.50. You make a sample for somebody that is like gonna buy, like the police department. You
Yeah.
know, hey, my favorite officer, here I made you something, and then all of a sudden, all the officers are
You
getting
had a
their
lot
stuff.
of run-ins there, Shannon, or
Well, he's our community officer at the condo. In a good way. We have a lot of good run-ins.
good?
Hi, Officer Royston. I'm just kidding.
Well, while we're talking about the tumblers, I can go through really quick how to set up a full wrap on these.
Yeah, let's
That's
do
a pretty
it.
good segue.
They're super, super easy once
did
you
we
get the hang
plan
of it.
not quite that well. But.
I tried to get it in there. But I will suggest, all of our machines, I believe, come with the standard roller rotary.
Yep, the slider rotary.
Slider roller.
Yep.
Rotary.
Roller rotary.
It rolls.
So it's perfect for doing anything that's cylindrical or round,
Yep.
like most of your tumblers, anything that doesn't have a handle, or something even as long as like a baseball bat.
Yep.
I had a company come in a couple weeks ago, and they wanted to do one of those big crocks, those big stoneware crocks, and that thing was about 18 inches in diameter and it weighed about 45 pounds.
A what?
The stoneware crocks.
Like a crack pot?
No, it's what they used to use like 100 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Those big, like you'll see them for planters.
Oh, okay,
Or
yeah.
they used to use them to
I
store
guess
food.
I'll have to Google it, Shannon.
Yeah, you'll have to Google it, Shannon. So like 100 years ago, they used to put their food in it and then put like lard on it to preserve it over the year. And so these guys are now using them for like, they're putting the addresses on them. So like the house number.
that's cool.
So it's just
Yeah.
a cute decorative thing to put on their porch. But
Cool.
this thing weighed
Yeah.
like 45 pounds and they're like, can we do this? Well, since it was a
Heck
cylinder, like the cup or a tumbler, we put it on the rotary and we were actually able to engrave it, which is pretty awesome.
That is
Wow,
really, really
that's
cool.
Yeah.
And because we offer that extension for the rotary as well,
Yep.
right? So you can do those huge, anything that'll fit on
Yep.
the bed or even off the bed, honestly.
Yeah, it extends
It
out to like
works.
30
Yeah.
inches, so you can even do like a baseball bat.
Yes.
So it's pretty
Yes.
awesome.
Or even there's that extra wheel too, right?
Yep.
To do like the
Yeah,
heavy
the center
urns
support.
and stuff like
Yep.
that. Yeah.
But I will say, what I do whenever I do these full wraps, and I highly, highly would recommend getting, is the chuck rotary.
Yeah, the chuck rotary is perfect because you can control where it starts and stops, so you can actually do a full entire wrap on those. This is pretty awesome.
This is perfect, and we sell different like extensions. I know this is kind of an older prototype that I use, but we have these so that you can just fit the cup right on there, pop it off, fit the next one on. You don't have to fiddle with kind of jamming it onto
Exactly.
or getting the keys stuck in there, which I know someone was talking. Hold on, let me grab this real quick. Someone had asked in the chat about like adjusting the chuck, which it is very complicated at first. It took me a while, whereas, getting onto the
Should have called tech
slider-
support.
Yeah, exactly. Getting things onto the slider rotary are as easy as just setting it on there and kind of adjusting the back end, and you're good to go. With the chuck, you've got all these little guys here that are just the kind of different turns here. You put the little key in there, turn it to kind of adjust the keys to go back in or
Yep.
out, and then you can put your cup on there and tighten it with the key there. It's really that easy. And yes, the angle swiveler will use just a regular Allen wrench to kind of get it up and down, and then you can tighten it into place so that it's not moving at all when you're getting it in the machine. And setting it up in the machine is super, super easy. You just kind of pop it in there, which I'll show you in a bit. Plug it into the side of your machine. There's a designated port, whether that's on I know the 100 watts use the three phase, and then the smaller machines use the 2-phase. So they're
Yep.
going to be a little bit different depending on the machine you have, but there is a designated port for that. And there's a switch on the side of the machine where you just switch from flat work to rotary, so the laser knows it needs to move the rotary device
Yep.
and not just the laser head. So
One thing I have to say is a big shout out to Lindsay at the tech department.
Yes.
She taught me, I don't know why, I was switching from flat to rotary forever, and Lindsay was like, no, all you gotta do is take your
I
Y
thought-
and divide it by 2, and then that's boom. Now I never get that Y slap over error.
that, and I thought I broke the machine the first time I used it on my own, because I didn't know. I'll show you real quick something that's really important in LightBurn when you're doing the rotary. You need to switch your rotary on and off
Yes.
between. I did not know that, so I ran something on the rotary, got it going, didn't switch it back off in LightBurn, so the machine still thought it was running a rotaried item, so it would not go up. It hits a limit,
Yeah.
and it won't go all the way. So I was like, I broke it. I don't know
I've
what
done
to
the
do.
same thing.
We've
I
all
had
I
done
don't
the
know what to
same
do.
thing. Yep,
I
I'm sure
think
everybody's
everybody
done it,
has
yeah.
been there.
And it's that tech support phone call. You give them a call,
Exactly.
and then
Yep,
Oh.
yep. And that you don't have to feel bad for calling out, because we you know, sometimes it really is that easy, and we're
Yep.
able to help you in 2 seconds.
Yep,
which
and
is
that's what
really
they're there
nice.
for.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And normally the
it's-
only times I ever have, like, you know, it's always the little tiny, oh, I forgot to push this little button.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
it's not anything that's
And with
that
the rotary
complicated.
setup, it's always that.
and,
Right.
and they never make you feel embarrassed.
Exactly.
No, they're always there to support you. They
And
got
we've
your
all
back.
done it. Like I said, we've
Yeah.
all done it.
I still call tech support.
Yes. But if we switch over to my computer real quick, I can show you just how easy it is to get this set up in here.
Show
So
us.
the first thing I'm going to do is I have this cute little winter scene image. This is just like a JPEG drawing image. And I'm going to convert that really, really quick into a vector for us. So we don't have to run it as an image file. We can just run it as a vector.
What?
So if we go ahead and right click on that, you can go down to this little button under the preview. There's trace image. And what that's going to do is pop up this little window here. You can see all these pretty pink lines, and that is what is going to be traced out there. I think it looks pretty good. You
That's
can
a lot of
adjust,
detail.
Yeah, you can adjust the slider, kind of get more detail or less detail. You can see kind of how it adjusts there. But I thought it looked pretty good the way it was. So I'm going to go ahead and go back down here. And depending on how detailed it is, again, it's going to take it a minute to kind of figure out where things are. But this does a pretty good job. So I'm going to go ahead, and once I'm ready there, I can just hit OK down at the bottom here. It's going to take a minute to trace it all out.
Where'd you get this fun artwork?
This I just got off Adobe stock. So
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Looks like
You can get a
wallpaper.
lot of different things like that on different
Yeah.
stock photo sites, and usually they'll let you know if they're free to use, like if you can use them for your own purposes, or if you need to give credit, or different things like that, which is really, really nice.
That's cool.
Yeah, 'cause
Especially
nobody
starting
wants to get
out.
Copyright.
If you're not like an artist,
Yeah.
it can be really hard to think of these different things.
Yeah,
But
I've been there.
use
I'm not
stock
creative at
websites.
all.
That's what they're for. That's what they're for. You know, they're stock images to use for whatever you need to use them for.
And they make you look good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can always go in and add your own customizations on top of these stock images. That's what I do a lot for a lot of my work. Is I'll take a stock image and I'll edit it to be my own thing. You know.
Right.
But-
That is nice. I'll have
yeah.
to get Adobe stock. Because
Yeah.
the one thing I'm always telling my friends is, don't send me ideas like to do cups or something. Send me like design ideas. That's
Yeah.
what I need. You
There
know,
you go.
Because I run out of ideas sometimes.
But if we go back into my computer here, all I'm going to do with this background image is just delete that, and then we have our traced image here. Now I still have this on you can see all these different tools at the bottom of LightBurn. These are just different colors that you can change to add different settings. So if I had something at one setting and I wanted to run another thing at a different setting, I could assign those to two different colors and switch the settings over in the cut and layers section. Right now this is on a tool color, so it's not going to cut or engrave. It's just like a guideline. Obviously I want it to engrave, so I'm going to go ahead and change it to my blue, which is what I usually have designated to my engrave layer. You can tell that it's going to engrave, not cut, because it's set to fill. If it was set to line up here, it would be cutting out all these different shapes. But because I am engraving this image onto the cup, I want it set to fill. And then all we got to do is I have this little box. This is the size of my cup. So that is the full wrap around the cup, is this shape.
Can I ask a question? How
Yes.
did you arrive at that dimension?
I
So
know.
do you want to go ahead? Go ahead.
Circumference equals what? Radius times what is it? Is it divided by 2 or times 2? What is it?
I'm going to
I
tell
thought-
you an even
sorry.
easier way to do it. So if you go up into your rotary settings, which is just this little turny guy right here, and you go to your chuck, you can type in, if you have the diameter or if you have the circumference, if you type that number in, it will automatically give you the other one, and that's what you'll use to get your measurement.
Oh, that's too easy. But what if you were using the
It
roller
works.
No, that's the
rotary?
method I'm using from now on. I'm not.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's,
but
well,
I
if
like
you're
math.
using the roller rotary, you can still get the numbers here and then switch them up with the roller, which is nice. Yeah.
Oh, I see what.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
It's really, really nice. It helps me a lot because I am not a math person. I can't
Yeah.
do math to save my life. So it's
2
really,
pi
really
r.
that simple.
2 pi r. C equals 2 pi r.
Something like that, yeah. But you want to make sure, if you're using the roller, just click your roller, and it'll show you exactly, oh, yeah, that's the roller rotary. If you're using the chuck, switch to the chuck, and you can see that is a chuck rotary.
Yeah.
So it's really easy to distinguish which one you're using. You want to make sure you're selecting the exact one that you're using because the settings are different for both.
Correct.
So again, the chuck's a little bit easier to set up. It's a little bit easier just in general. That's why I would suggest, adding that onto the purchase of your machine, just
Yeah.
because it's super helpful for a lot of things. And if you're doing stuff with handles,
Mhm.
you can do it on this, where you can't really do it on the roller because the handle gets in the way, depending on how big of an engraving you're doing, you know?
And you don't have to just buy it with a new machine. You can buy it after the fact, too.
Exactly.
If you've already got an AP Lazer, just call tech support,
Yep.
and they can hook you up with the correct chuck rotary to go with your machine.
Exactly.
So it's plug and play for you.
And, you know, there is this little steps per rotation thing down here. That's going to vary depending on your rotary device. That's going to vary depending on your machine. We do give you a little sheet to help you out with that.
Tech
So you
support
don't
will help
ever
you with
have
that
to
too.
search out for that, which is nice. But I got my, you know, my dimensions through doing that. So that's just this little tool layer here. And all I need to do is kind of overlay my image on top of that to get it to size. Now, you can see this image is just a little bit bigger than what it is, or what the, you know, cup size is. So I am going to want to shrink that down so that the edges meet the edges of the material. Because otherwise, when it wraps, it's not going to be a full wrap. This design is made so each edge will meet with the other edge.
Interesting.
So if I cut it off the way it is now, if I cut it off here, it's not going to connect to this end. So it's going to have this weird kind of stop. Where
So there's like a wallpaper, so it'll match
Yes.
up. Gotcha.
Yes. So you want to make sure your design, if you're doing a full wrap, that the edges meet together perfectly on the end there. So I'm going to go ahead and size this down to meet this. So my width is 12.173. So I'm going to take this, make sure this is locked so I'm not distorting anything. Just go ahead and take that width and do 12.173. Bam. And then if I select everything on my screen here, hit this little target button up here, it's going to center everything nice for me. And you know, I can move things around. I think I'm going to move this down just a little bit. A little trick for you, I want these edges to stay within this bounds. So as I'm dragging, I'm going to hold down shift, and that's just going to make sure I only drag down and I don't kind of distort anything. It's a really helpful when you're trying to keep the edges in line, but you want to just bring things down or up a little bit.
Oh, wow. I just learned something.
Yeah, it's super, super helpful. Once you have everything set up there and ready to go, you can select everything again. We're going to go ahead and hit this little guy down here, this little Boolean intersection, and that's just going to cut everything into that box so that everything stays within there. Nothing is going outside of the box, so I'm not engraving anything that's not there, you know?
What does Boolean mean? I always wondered what that is.
I don't know.
It has to do with math. But
It's a math term. I don't know.
Google it, Shannon.
Yeah, let's Google it after.
But you can see that cut out everything just
Oh,
perfectly
cool.
for me. So that is the size of the cup, and so the artwork, you can see the edges are going to meet, which is really, really nice. It's going to work out perfectly for me. So then all I have to do, I'm going to make sure I go back up to my rotary. I'm going to select Chuck. We're going to hit enable rotary. That turns on the rotary device for us. That makes sure that we are in rotary mode, and when we send this to the machine, it knows, oh, that's going to be, you know, it's going to roll on the machine. It's not going to be a flat image.
Correct.
We also do need to turn the button on, but I'll do that once I'm setting everything up in the machine. But this is one of the most important steps. Just make sure that's turned on there. Make sure your settings are correct. Again, I know these are correct because I've got the steps for per rotation from, you know, our guidelines for this specific chuck rotary that we sell. The diameter is set to the diameter of my cup, which is really nice. And so everything looks good, and I can hit OK. You know your rotary device is on when that little light right here is green.
Yes.
If that is green and you don't want to do a rotary device, you need to go in and turn that back off.
Yep.
Because once you send it to the machine, it's going to read as a rotary file,
Yep.
even if it's not. Now, before we send it to the machine, we do want to turn this to the side here. So I always do just rotate and do -90, because this is the way our cup is going to be sideways in the machine. So we want it to make sure that it's
Correct.
sideways in there.
How you see it on the screen is how it's going to print on
Exactly.
your thing.
Your machine.
On your machine.
There's a
How
rhyme
you see
for
it
it.
on the screen, it prints on the machine.
There
And
you
I
go.
will also just make sure my job origin is set to one of these, you know, leftmost origins so that I can see. I can set my origin to the top of the cup, and I know it's going to fit on there. You could also do the bottom if you want. It doesn't really matter. If you do the center, you're going to have to find the exact center, and
Yeah,
you're not.
you gotta
It's going to
measure
be
it.
Yeah,
difficult.
that makes
So
sense. Yeah.
This makes your life easier. You can use, honestly, the recommended settings we have for these work perfectly, which I believe is a speed of 15 and a power of about 75 for our 100 watt machines. Again, it's going to vary depending on the machine you use. These settings work really, really well for the 100 watt machines. And because we're doing a vector engraving, you can just leave the min and the max the same. You don't
Correct.
need any depth because it's not an image. and we're not cutting, so you don't need to soften the edges at all, which is
Awesome.
really nice. So you can just leave that easy peasy, 15, 75, send it to the machine, you're golden.
Yeah, you don't want to go more than 15 because I
Right.
mean, you could, but you don't.
You don't want it to go too fast.
I
is
always
all.
say it's like cooking a roast. A
Yeah.
Christmas roast, low and slow.
So I'm
is
going
the
to go
way
ahead.
go.
I'm going to send that to the machine. I'm just going to
guys.
name it wrap because it's a full wrap there. Hit OK. Again, take some time to upload there. Make sure that bar is green. You're good. You know it's uploaded. You can always check on your controller and your file menu that it is uploaded if you're not exactly sure. So I always double check and load it up on there just in case something went wrong or you inverted it and you didn't mean to or something like that. It's always good to check on the controller. That's why I always recommend running your files from the controller and not from LightBurn. Because you can run from LightBurn. I never recommend it because you're going to mess something up eventually and you're not going to catch it until you're already running it.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and get this set up. I'm going to step away from the microphone. If there's any more questions or anything you guys want to go over, go ahead. And yeah.
Are there any more questions that we can put in the chat? Anybody have anything out there? It looks like there was one about adjusting the tension on the chuck rotary. Alicia did cover that. It's that black key.
Yep.
And there's some holes on the side of the chuck rotary. They're little square holes. That's where the key fits in. You can adjust it from there. And then as far as like adjusting the angle of it, there's an Allen key on the side of the chuck itself. You can loosen up so you can actually adjust the angle of the chuck rotary itself.
Pops taught me something. He said you can use the period button to rotate anything you have highlighted 90 degrees.
It must be a keyboard shortcut.
Ah, thanks, Pops.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'm learning
I
all
love-
these fun things today.
I love keyboard shortcuts.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Alt-T for trace. Copy, paste, trace. Hey, Tony.
Hey, Shannon.
I hear that we might have another special
Yes, we do.
present.
Yes, we do.
For
So
Christmas?
earlier we were talking about the acrylic, like for the acrylic ornaments.
Yeah.
Anybody that buys a 2616, we've got 3 of these packages available where you can get, what is it, like?
150
I don't have the
sheets
number.
of acrylic.
Can you put it up there?
150
There it is,
sheets
yes.
of acrylic
Yes.
for free when you
Purchase your 2616.
a 2616.
Yep.
And
we'll include the shipping because that's going to be heavy.
it
150
is.
sheets
I mean,
of acrylic.
I carried like 10 sheets of acrylic the other day, and that was like, I needed help.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's heavy.
Yep.
That's a lot of acrylic. I mean,
And they're going to let you pick what colors you want.
yes. And there's like glittery snow one.
Mirror.
now. Yeah,
You
there's
could
so
do the
much-
white and red like your earrings.
Oh, like my earring?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so I did the calculations on this, all right? So, I mean, a rough calculation. Now
Bear
that we're
with us.
talking math.
Yep.
So, with 150 sheets of acrylic, you could probably get, I don't even remember anymore. It was on my way here. It was,
Do you know roughly how many on one sheet?
yeah, so let's say, I don't know how big the sheets are that we're doing 150 of, but if they were like 12 by 16, I mean, you could, these 12 inches by 16, you could probably get about, I need a calculator again, 12 times 16, and then these are about an inch big, right?
Mhm.
So divided that by an inch. Anyway, you can get like a lot of earrings.
There you go. That's
Good
what it is.
mathing. No,
That's
it was
all
like,
it is.
It was like an insane, like it pays for the machine.
It reminds me of a
and
joke I heard
some.
the other day.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm really quick at math. And somebody asked a question. They gave him a math question. It was definitely the wrong answer. He says, I'm not accurate, but I am quick at math.
I am quick, right? Well,
Good dad
you know,
joke.
Aaron McClung had mentioned in the chat earlier. It 'tis the season for sleep deprivation, and that is right. My math skills aren't good today, but 150 sheets of acrylic will, and if you just did like earrings or something, you would pay that machine off if you sold these
Oh,
earrings
easy.
for like $10. You know,
Easy.
piece
Oh,
of cake.
you did the math and you said your ROI on just earrings alone was like $100,000.
It was like
or something.
$100,000. Yeah,
That's crazy.
I mean, I roughly mathed it, so don't quote me on that, but.
Maybe you missed a decimal point. Maybe it's 10,000, but
Maybe,
still, that's
but
a
still,
lot.
I mean, it's like, yeah, you
that's still
pay
a
for
lot
your
of potential
machine.
profit right there in 150 sheets of acrylic.
Oh,
Not to
yeah.
mention you get to pick which colors, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
So it looks like
Super
we're
awesome.
getting set up here. Or?
Yeah. So I just want to go over a couple things while
Yeah.
that was getting set up there. You can kind of see it's not the best angle. I'll fix that later. But you could kind of see this guy right here. It was rotating and if you see that rotating, you know I switched from flat work to rotary.
Mhm.
So I had that set. You also might have noticed that I turned the machine off and back on. That's because when I switch from flat work to rotary, I want to make sure that rotary actually adjusts and is ready to go. So you do need to switch off and on between flat work and rotary mode so that the machine kind of adjusts and it knows.
Yeah, when
what
it turns
it's
on,
doing.
it goes through a calibration process. It
Exactly.
just
You
resets
want
itself.
that to calibrate, whether it's on flat work or rotary. Make sure that your machine calibrates so it knows where the edges of the machine are.
Yeah, if you've already got one, you'll notice when you
Yes.
turn it on, it always goes to find the home position, and then it comes back to wherever its last origin was.
Yeah.
It does the same thing when you switch over to the rotary. It's just
Exactly.
trying to find out where its limits are so it knows what to work with.
Now, because I have that rotary turned on as well, the machine head, the laser head, will not move
Front and rear.
front
The
to rear.
Y-
Exactly.
Yeah, that's your y-axis.
Exactly, y-axis.
RD
Where it's
axis.
We got you. We got you.
this is why there's more than just me here. So, because the rotary is now that y-axis.
Correct.
So, you can still move it, side to side, but you're going to have to adjust it manually front to back to
Correct.
kind of meet your material. Don't be afraid. It is kind of scary, like, oh, I don't want to throw it off, but when you're in rotary mode, it is safe to move
Yeah,
back
front and
forth.
rear only.
Don't move side to side on its own.
If
You
it feels a
will
little
mess it up.
difficult to move, it's not supposed to move. But if the rotary's on, the Y is turned off so it moves freely.
It's very, very easy to move, so you'll be able to notice that. One other thing that I'm going to need to do, obviously, that laser head is really, really low. It's not going to meet the material at all. So all you're going to do is hit that Z button and move it the right way to watch that machine table drop. And if we were in lowrider mode,
Yeah,
you'd
and the
notice this whole
1812 or
thing
the
move.
2616 are only in lowrider. They don't have the Z table.
Yeah.
So you'll physically move the machine up and down to
Yeah.
get to where we're in focus.
Ooh. Yeah, so it's really, really easy to kind of adjust things. It takes a little bit, so depending on how low you need to go. Obviously, I was right up on the honeycomb, and now I'm moving it down, so it's going to take a minute. But you can kind of see exactly on the screen there just how adjustable this machine is, which is crazy. All of our machines.
Yes.
Because we converted all of them to this
All of them are
lowrider,
lowrider now.
which is insane. It gives you so much flexibility that you never had before.
No.
Which I'm going to kind of get this set up and going. But, we also have the large object engraving. I know I have a clip of that running. We did a bench.
Yeah, like these products
These
here.
guys,
Yeah,
the barrels, but we did a bench with
Yeah.
this. Like
Did
a
we?
huge garden bench, which
Nice.
is crazy. And I just did that on the, I did it with our lift cart, but you could have just done that on the floor. It was pretty heavy. So honestly, I kind of wish I just did it on the floor. I wasn't thinking. But, this thing can go all the way down to the floor. You don't need to worry about, I got to get this up here or onto the bed or whatever.
Yeah.
Because you can just slide it on the floor down there and let it go to the floor for you,
And you
then
don't have
have
to worry
someone
about
stronger.
limitations.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we got this unlimited capability.
Yeah, yeah. And then
you
you
don't
can
have
have
to worry
someone
about a
stronger
pass-through
than
or
you
anything like that. Yeah.
kind of move it for you. So that's what's nice about that. It's really, really helpful for the monument industry, I know. Like, it's a game changer.
Well, and it, if you're not doing the monuments or wine barrels or anything like that, it might not be something you're gonna, do all the time. But the real thing is if somebody comes to you and they're like, Tony, can you please engrave my, this cart?
Yeah.
You don't have to say no, and guess who they're always going to come back to?
Yeah, the
You.
guy that could get it done. Or,
Yeah,
or the woman
exactly.
who could get it done. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Like Yeti
Hey.
cool,
Yeah.
coolers. You can do, there's no limit to what you can do. You can actually lift the laser up and set it onto something to engrave also. So,
Right.
that there's a lot of little machines out there these days, but still nothing beats the versatility of the AP
Exactly.
laser.
Since I've been here, I've done mini fridges. I've done
Oh, yeah,
barbecue
the
smoker
man
grills.
cave. That was cool.
Yeah, that was cool. We've done, what else did we do?
We've done a
Coffee
lot.
tables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done end tables, something like this. There's another time we went to a show and we got some of those bar stools from Walmart. Those like $20 bar stools, and we engraved "Best Mom Ever" on the seat of the stool, and we were getting offers for $50 to $100 for that stool
Oh,
at
yeah.
the show just for a display piece that
Yeah.
we whipped up. So
Yeah.
that was pretty cool.
Well,
Yeah.
we're running a little short on time, so I'm not going to run this demo itself, but I do want to kind of show you. We have this on the table, and I'm
Wanna
going to grab
showcase the
one to kind
table?
of rotate.
Mhm.
This, you can see where I got this all the way around the cup. And I can pull up the other one so it's a little easier to see.
There you go. He's got a close-up camera on you.
Well, it's
You know,
already
There you go.
4:40.
Full
Wow.
all around the cup. And
Oh,
that's
that's
just
so
doing
cool.
it via the method I did, setting it up in LightBurn the way that I did, putting it on the chuck, getting it set up, making sure you're on rotary mode when you send your file, making sure you switch from flat work to rotary, readjusting the machine, recalibrating the machine, and then just, you know, lowering this to meet your material. And then you just hit go. Once you have your origin set, you're good. You're good to go. It's really, really nice. And like, think of how special this would be for someone to receive.
Oh, I see
you know,
those go online for like $70.
Oh, I know.
It's crazy.
I know. You know, I made this one for myself. I love Star Wars. I love Grogu. He's the greatest. And like, this is great. It took me, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes to run on the machine total. And the file was super easy to set up using the tools that I gave to you guys. So it's really that easy. Like, it really is.
If we need some help, we can call in and learn how to set the files up.
And, you know, speaking of, like, you know, technical help and all that, I'm going to switch myself out. I'm going to tag team someone else in here that knows a little bit more than me, so he can maybe answer a few questions or go over some details.
Yeah, there's a couple of questions you can answer. Yeah.
So I'm going to head out. See ya.
Thank you very much, Alicia, for being here. You've done a great job.
Because we need to see this great man on screen.
Oh, who is that? Is that Santa Claus?
Excuse the
fumbling.
I
don't know how you're going to get in. You might have to swing around here.
Sneak in over here. Come on down. You're the next contestant.
Maybe I can step on her computer too. So,
who are you?
I am Aaron. Most of you know me as, well, I guess most of you know me as Aaron. So I'll leave it that way.
We know him as the old guy around here.
Something like that. Hey, so there's been some great conversation, some great questions, and I've been thinking about a lot of them. I want to go back a little bit. I know there were some questions about the clear acrylic and the mirrored acrylic. There's been a lot of confusion in the laser world out there, and maybe some misunderstood information from other laser companies. When doing reflective materials with the laser, it's okay. Okay, so we can engrave on mirrored, products, clear products, metal finishes. There's a lot of misunderstood properties of the lasers and whether you can or should or shouldn't engrave on reflective materials. It's okay. The way the laser energy is going to react with that material is all based on the wavelength. Okay, so obviously we reflected off a high polished metal mirror through the system, but when it's focused, it's actually going to engrave and react with the energy. Now, obviously the difference is if you have, somebody said a diode laser, they called it a fake laser. I don't know if I'm willing to call it a diode laser a fake laser because all lasers have their own purpose out there. But, you know, if you're ready to go to the next level, then definitely stepping up from a diode laser is the right way to go, because we have fiber lasers, we have the CO2 lasers, we have a lot of exciting products coming out. But I'm really struggling, I'm not really struggling. I was struggling through the text to communicate with TMC on the Rotary tool. So just real quick, I want to get into the camera on the machine and show her show that person a couple things.
While you're getting set up there, there was a question that came up in the chat about the handle on the tumbler. Can you pull that tumbler out?
Yeah, well, hold on a second. So
you're going to show it? Okay. See how that?
So right here.
Aaron can't be heard. So just a quick answer that question regarding the handle. These tumblers that we sell, the handles are removable, so you can still get that full wrap. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to see if I can move a mic over here so Aaron can still do his speaking.
Tony, you can see what I'm doing. Will you narrate my adjustments real quick?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he's twisting the key to lock and unlock that chuck rotary. Does that show up okay or no?
Yeah. And then this one here is for the tension of the swivel of the whole unit.
Yep, so that the Allen key on the side there is what you use to adjust the tension and to swivel the whole unit, so you can adjust your angle so that it'll stay in focus. So if you had like a tapered tumbler, you can adjust that so it's angled up so that that tumbler will stay in focus as it's rotating.
And if I misunderstood your question, if for some reason you can't physically move the angle of the tumbler, okay.
The other tensioner is at the end of the C, those Allens?
Yeah. Oh, right there on the top. Sorry, yeah.
Yep, the ones on the top. Can you point back at those?
Yeah, so... Yeah, go ahead.
Yep, the ones there on the top, those are the ones you loosen up. That'll open up that clamp a little bit so you can actually adjust the angle of the chuck at that point.
Sorry, I'm pretty sure that will clear it up right there. Those two back screws on the rear mount by the motor should help you get there. And I apologize for not fully understanding your question and answering it correctly. But, anyways, I was talking about the materials, and we're not just limited to tumblers and the acrylics and the different colors of acrylics. And if you want to know colors of acrylics, we have them all. Go to our AP Lazer web store, take advantage of our deals, buy a machine, get a what was the deal for the.
You buy an 1812, you get 150 cutting boards, and buy a 2616, you get 150 sheets of acrylic.
150 sheets of acrylic. If you guys don't know how significant that is,
It's like $3,000
Yes.
is what that is.
Yeah, go look how much does it
That's a
cost
lot
for
of
150
acrylic.
sheets of acrylic.
And it's for the first
Okay.
3 people that buy each machine, right?
Yep.
The first 3 people who buy an 1812 and the first 3 people that buy the 2616
Correct.
get
Okay,
that deal.
so there's a sense of urgency there.
But
If you're-
wait, there's more.
if you're on the fence. But when talking about materials, there's one thing that we really need to focus on is kind of one of the core properties of our system is the open architecture or the open cabinet. It's limitless. Bonnie was talking earlier that the possibilities really are limitless, whether you're doing wood and acrylic and combining the two and engraving on glass and using that as a foundation for something. There's so much you can do. But you can also do large format. You can do the backs of memorial benches and monuments, and there's all kinds of stuff that you can get into.
Home decor is huge.
Home decor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe we have a demonstration of doing a bench. Is that correct?
Remember we did
Yeah,
like
so that's a whole
boat
park
one
bench.
time? We did a whole like canoe or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've
we've done
done
a
it.
canoe. We've had customers do. I had a customer that I was on training with in Arizona. They did a truck tailgate, and the problem was it was his boss's, and his boss said, "Do my truck tailgate." And I said, I don't know if I should do that. And he said, I don't know if I should do that either. He goes, oh, it'll be fine. But either way, when we're doing the tailgate, the guy's like, yeah, if we mess this up, it won't be fine. I'm like, well, I'll be fine. But
But it turned out great.
it did turn out great. Yes, it really did. And then we were talking, I heard some talk about food grade paint and stuff like that. Like Tony said, sometimes you don't need to do a clear coat and stuff on slate. And one thing I've been experimenting with that gives varying results is mineral oils and or
linseed.
butcher block cleaner.
Yeah.
Works almost the same as it does on wood, so still kind of gets a finish.
Getting some notifications. We're doing good?
Yep.
All right, we're doing good on time.
So,
Awesome.
But yeah, the options are limitless. Bonnie,
We got some new questions in the
we
chat
do
here
have
if
some
that
new
helps.
questions,
Yeah. Are there any RF laser machines in the future plans?
Yes.
Yes.
we are in
Hang
constant
tight.
development. We are, Tong Lee and his R&D team are in hyper speed right now on the products that we are developing. We're really expanding our product line. The first thing we're going to be rolling out really hard is the fiber laser. Tony knows a lot about that. Can you?
The high power fiber laser or the fiber lowriders?
Both.
Oh.
The fiber world in general.
So the fiber lowriders are the fiber marker machines. They're going to come in your standard fiber etching. They're available in 50 watt, and then also we've got a 60 and 100 watt MOPA version of that. So it's got the LR capability, like our 1812 all the way up to our 4836, and it also has a gantry that will allow you to move the laser head left and right about 30 inches. So if you know anything about the fiber markers, they're usually limited to like a 4-inch by 4-inch square. With the gantry on our system, you can do basically 4-inch by like 30-inch. So that's pretty amazing. Got another laser that's coming. It's a 2,000 to 3,000 watt machine for cutting direct through metal. That's pretty awesome. It's cutting through like 1/2-inch mild steel, 1/8-inch aluminum and stuff. So that's pretty awesome. Let's see, what was the other questions we got? Oh, the RF tubes, those are coming. We also do trade in, trade up. So if you're in an A CO2 right now and you want to get into one of those, we can trade that in later. So you can still get your business up and running with the machines we currently have before we get those going.
And honestly, I think we're one of the only companies that do a trade-in, trade-up program in general. Well, I'm not sure, but from what I've never seen another company do it, and I think it's a really great opportunity. You can start.
The trade-in, trade-up program is just more of a testament to our philosophy of support, and our family members, our customers are our family members, and their success is a direct reflection on our success. And
Right.
we are not successful if our family members are not successful. That's why we have our Bonnies, our Franks, our Matt Buxtons of the world that are out there. They're constantly helping our community. And that number, I'm leaving so many of you out, and I apologize.
There was
But
even
it's just a
AP Lazer
testament that
baby
started
born.
back from our 24/7 technical support. And that's not a paid subscription. That's something that comes with every machine. So for the life of the machine, you're going to get our 24/7 technical support, yes, even on holidays. And in the late hours when you're the busiest, we're there, and we're going to answer the phone at 2 a.m. We're going to take care of you. And then when you're ready to grow your business, we're ready to grow with you. So we're going to set you up with one of our account executives, and they're going to we'll do an assessment of your machine. We'll work out a deal to where we take back your machine, and then we make it as least disruptive as possible. A lot of times we'll send you the new machine so you can box up the old machine in the crate. So it makes it easier. You don't have to figure out packing materials. It really makes a clean handshake. And sometimes you wind up like Frank, where Frank's like, well, I'm just gonna add this machine to my thing, and I'll send the other one back. And before you know it, he's like, I need more, right?
Yeah.
We've got multiple customers with
Yes.
multiple machines.
Yes. And
So
once you really get in the groove of making these work on your tumbler jobs, on your ornament jobs, on your earring jobs, on your memorial bench, on your garden benches that are out there. I'm a state officer for our Veterans of Foreign Wars here in the state of Michigan, and we have projects going on right now that are just putting benches out at active places. We're not just putting memorial benches out in a place. They're recognition benches. Sometimes we're commemorating something to somebody who's just done really good things in the community. So there's a lot of different large-scale purposes for whether it be benches or memorials or stuff that's going to be a commemoration now that will be long-lasting after, down the road. There's a lot of community projects to get involved with that there's budgets for that you can find out what's going on and get involved with them. But it's also the smalls. But the most important thing right now is you become a part of the family. No. No, and we've done a lot of things to do that. There's a 25% off benches right now if you look at that. That was just up on the screen.
We've got some other specials. If you are looking at a machine that's not a 1812 or a 2616, which those are on promo right now for the first 3 buyers, we also have deals on the 4836. That's $6,000 off before the end of the year.
I'm sorry, did you say $6,000 off?
$6,000 off the
plus.
4836. Plus, if you want to get a combo deal with the 1812, you can get 2 machines and save $11,000.
Yeah,
so
that's crazy.
It's with the 4024 or the 4836.
I've been with AP Lazer.
That's basically getting a free 1812 if you look at it that way.
Yeah.
I've been with AP Lazer for 12, 13 years, something like that. I can't remember. It's been a long time. And I don't know if I've seen deals like this. This is pretty spectacular. This will be a December to remember. No, I'm not just trying to be funny. I'm usually just yeah, my wife has words for me, but
So
no.
yeah, we've got deals on all the machines for the end of the year. So if you got a business and you need a tax deduction, now's a great time to take advantage of that. If you need to finance it, you can do the Section 179. So you can finance it and still take advantage of the tax savings there. The 2816, we're doing $3,000 off of that model as well. So I mean, if you're looking for a machine, now is the right time to do it. Our lead times are like 2 to 3 weeks on almost every machine. So right now, if you get your order in, you probably get it before the end of the year. So that's awesome.
How easy is it for our family members to apply for the financing?
It's just a quick link. Just ask your rep, and they can send you the link. And it's usually about a 3 to 5 minute application online, and you get an approval usually within an hour.
Wow.
Yeah. And we work I always get this question. We work with a few different financing companies, so
They can do anything from startups all the way to existing businesses. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's exciting. It's I don't know if we've ever made it easier to get involved. I've seen a lot of specials, a lot of deals that come through, and we have not had an easier moment because we're not just giving you great deals on these lasers, but we're giving you the start to have the product material to start it with the sales in the store.
Oh yeah.
I know I was just kind of dropping in a little bit on the chat but I was watching the whole live. It was a great live. Thank you, Tony.
Hey, you're
for
welcome.
keeping my seat warm today. No, thank you, Tony, for all your knowledge today. Anytime you're around, Tony and I are Marines, but I'm not allowed to keep talking, so we have to move things along here. Shannon, thank you for coming in as usual.
Thank you, Mr.
Alicia, amazing work. Bonnie, if you're
Yes.
still watching, thank you.
Thank you.
You're like Vegas. We can pick your brain 100 times and we still won't know everything. So your knowledge is always great. We've all learned something new today.
Thank you for everybody watching.
Yes.
Thank you for all the questions. Thank you for being part of our AP Lazer family. If you guys already have laser machines, take advantage of the AP Lazer store specials. If you don't have a machine and you want to join the family, just give your rep a call and we'll help you out.
And we'll be there every step of the way, too. It's not like we just sell you a laser machine and we're like, okay, good luck. You know, I keep in touch with all my customers and they're, you know.
Yeah, recognize some of the names in the
Oh,
chat.
yeah. Hey,
And if
guys.
any of your questions went unanswered or not fully answered, contact our tech support team or contact our sales executives, and they'll make sure that we answer all of your questions.
Well, cool. Thank you, everybody. We had a good time. If we don't talk to you before then, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Take care.